Joining us right now, and I am going to rip up the script here, and I can do that, of course, with the gentleman from the Dakotas. Kevin Cramer is with North Dakota. I've always got to keep my Dakotas careful here. I've got to be careful what I do. Senator Cramer, I want to stop for a moment for you to speak of the symbolism of your Republican Party and the path from John Warner dying today at 94 over to the modern Republican Party. You have identified, I love the idea that I think, like Lincoln, you lost your first 3 elections. Tell me how your GOP keeps the Republicans like John Warner and, frankly, Senator Portman of Ohio in the fold. How do you keep these liberal Republicans in the party?
Well, no, thanks for the question. Actually, pragmatism works, and I think that one of the things that Donald Trump brought to the Republican Party is he brought the working class Americans to the Republican Party. I think at the end of his 4 years, one of the things we lost, perhaps, are not so much moderates as probably the polite, moderates, if you will. Certainly the suburban women, for example. All of that said, I think that we take the Trump mantra, and that is to say the more less globalist, but an America first globalism, a populism conservatism, and apply it in a gentler way. Not shyly, by the way, but I think we have the right governing philosophy to be a majority party. And I just think that, and the other thing is this, quite honestly, Joe Biden is going to help us immensely. If we can get out of our own way and keep highlighting the Biden agenda, which includes everything from destroying American energy while building up Iran and Saudi Arabia and Russian energy. If we talk about, putting so much money into the marketplace that we create hyperinflation and all the other stuff, the border crisis, what's going on in the Middle East, his lack of attention to the really big issues. There's nothing like a common opponent to help unite people. But I do think our own message, to your point, needs to be the Trump message delivered in a way that people are listening.
And the lessons learned of losing the presidency, losing the House, losing the Senate, and granted these are by all small numbers, in 2022 beckons. How do you coalesce the GOP on social issues so removed from the core Trump constituency? And I might say social issues that Senator Warner of Virginia led with through the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. One is we're seeing a trend that actually does benefit us, a demographic trend, and that is that the Hispanic Americans are coming more our way. And they came more our way under Donald Trump. They became our way because of Donald Trump, because they identified more as working class Americans than they do as Hispanic Americans, which is really the heart of the American dream. I think we take that same social message, a social message that is job creation and pro-family. You don't have to apologize for being pro-family. You have to certainly understand the culture you live in and speak to it. But I think that we need to get back in many cases to our roots, but also remembering that the working class American, the forgotten man and woman, is still out there, and they're still looking for a voice. And Donald Trump was that voice, and I think we can continue to give that voice, but at the same time recognizing that the world's a shrinking place, and we also have to remind people that all of this that we cherish so much depends on a really strong military, and we have to remind people that we didn't used to have a near-peer adversary in China, but now we do. The Soviet Union broke up, but in many respects is coming back in the person of Vladimir Putin.
Senator, there's a question of giving a voice to the working class Americans, and there's also a question of creating the right economic backdrop for them. I believe a coalition of Republicans are about to counter-propose a $1 trillion plan to President Biden's infrastructure spending initiative. Do you have a sense of what's in it and whether you would sign on to this?
Sure, great question. I do have some sense of it, and I likely would sign on to it. In fact, I think I've always thought we could go bigger than we've gone as Republicans while maintaining our philosophy and our integrity. And that is a couple of things. So I actually am the ranking Republican on the Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee, and we're going to mark up our surface transportation bill today, and it's been negotiated between the four corners that include Tom Carper, Shelley Moore Capital, Ben Cardin, and myself, and that's going to be a good step in the right direction. We can go bigger on that simply by adding another year or two to the authorization. one of the things that I'd like to see is I'd like to see us expand infrastructure. I know Republicans say let's keep it to the hard concrete issues, and I'm not against that. But I think when you take energy as an example, pipelines, transmission lines. I had a long visit just Friday with Jennifer Granholm, the Secretary of Energy, and said the beautiful thing about energy infrastructure is it is infrastructure. It does move commerce to the marketplace. It does create really high-paying jobs. It does have a national security implication to it, and it doesn't require any spending on the part of the federal taxpayer. So I think you can get to $1 trillion by having some simple permitting and regulatory reforms that maintain the integrity of our environmental excellence, while at the same time unleashing the private sector investment. And here's the other thing, you guys. By putting more money and investment in American energy rather than Iranian and Russian energy, you actually help the climate and the environment, because we produce even fossil fuels with a much lower carbon footprint than other countries do.
Senator, what's the distinction between going even bigger in the proposal that you're talking about and the $1.7 trillion plan that President Biden is talking about, especially when you talk about high inflation rates? Why is the plan that you're proposing not going to ignite inflation, whereas the other one you say will?
Yeah, because ours doesn't involve more federal spending or more borrowing or more printing of money. To the degree we can repurpose the $750 billion to $1 trillion that's already been appropriated but won't be spent by the end of this fiscal year. That's not new taxes. That's not new printing. So that actually puts that liquidity, if you will, to work in the marketplace in a way that creates jobs and creates an asset that at the end has a value and has the movement of goods and services throughout the country. So I actually think that we do just the opposite by going bigger, as long as we're not printing new money or borrowing more money.
Senator, the only reason we had you on is Lisa Abramowitz puts down the German skillet at Kroll's Diner like nobody in Fargo, North Dakota. We're not going to do this in February, but we need a surveillance road trip so Lisa can remember her years in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm thinking pheasant hunting in, maybe in the autumn, September, October. Can we get that done?
Yeah, for sure.
We can absolutely get that done. Lisa probably knows the perfect guide, and if she doesn't, I'll find the best land you can go hunting on. So Kroll's Kitchen, truly one of the great institutions in North Dakota, and they know how to make homemade German food.
They do. Senator, thank you so much for joining us today. He is a senator from North Dakota, Kevin Cramer, here on the day of the death of the senator from Virginia. Truly, he was a senator from Virginia, John Warner. Lisa, it's just great to talk to these senators and politicians around the country.
We'll host surveillance from the Yemkomst Center in Fargo, North Dakota, and you will be underneath the Viking ship.
You're going to take me there in January. I can see it now.
Oh, you better believe it. You're going to enjoy.